Okay, on to making some hook baits. Very simple ingredients. CC Moore hard hook bait mix. Fluorescent yellow, some of our favorite colors. Now I got some plain, it comes out white. And then mainline, high leakage boilie mix. Now I'm not sure if it's a hard hook bait, but high leakage, that's another one of our favorite baits. So mix them together. Get the best of all of them. Now, these are some little dumbbells I made. And that's off of my 16 mil table with a little 10 mil tip. And it comes out 10 mil by 16 mil long. Beautiful little hook baits. And the Green Bastard will tell you himself it was one of his favorites last year.
That it was.
And that's what's so great about having a good partner with you. So he can field test the baits that you're making and vice versa. So this is a 10 mil by 16. That's a 12 mil by 16, which is a little bit fatter. And surprisingly enough, once these have been in the water for a while, they swell to almost 50% more than the size they are. So then it's a pleasure shaving off the outer skin after every fish we catch, and we could end up catching half a dozen fish on the same boilie. So there you go. That's what we're going to make right now. So of course, like the rest of my tackle hoarding, once I catch on to something I like, I mass produce. Now, mass producing is to the benefit of my friends, because now I can hand out and give them even more. And now everybody can field test them for me. So, that's just a couple of the examples that I played with last year. Now, I also got me a CC Moore mix for pop-ups. Now, I've been experimenting with different ratios to make our own wafters. Now, wafters have been a big part of my life the last couple of years. I've gone from pop-up to wafters to bottom baits. Single corn. Now my single corn, it's always been pop-up. Last couple of years, it's been the slow sinking ones. So there's a sign there. There's something going on there. So, like everything else I do, it's all an experiment. So I found if I want to make a proper wafter, I tried mixing 50-50 with the pop-up and the bob bait and the harding hook bait. It still pops up a lot more than I wanted to. So now I'm using 2 parts hard hook bait to 1 part pop-up, and it gives me the wafter I'm looking for. So that was a good experience there too. But like my chumming boilies, I've got maybe half a dozen or more ingredients that go into making them, if not a dozen. Well, this is very simple. 1 egg, 10 mil of flavor, CC Moore's mix. That's it. That's it. Mix it up, roll them. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to do a 1 egg mix. Now the flavor, I've been experimenting. Yeah, 10 mil in a 1 egg mix, it is a very strong flavor. Is it good? Is it bad? You know, surprisingly enough, again, with more experimenting last summer, and my good friend Gerald, he's been using high leakage boilies from the bag, commercial mix, and he's been using a single one of those. I can't smell anything on them. and he catches fish on them. So, is too much flavor a detriment? Is just a little bit of flavor better? You know, I've noticed that myself too. After leaving boilies on my rods from a previous trip and reusing them again the next day and catching another 7 fish on that same boilie, you would figure it lost all its flavor. Well, maybe they don't need much flavor. From what I understand, a carp's got the second best sense of smell next to a catfish. A catfish can sense a smell through its skin. A carp senses a smell is through its barbels. Okay, well, if it can smell a minute difference in flavor, and if that's what's making it take it, all the power to them. So now, I'll do the 10 mil today. Oh yeah, like if you could smell these, if you can have smell-o-vision, you would be blown away. My sense of smell is gone and I can even smell them. So, are they too strong? Well, they still hit fish. So, but this year I'm experimenting with less flavor. John Baker, one of my mentors on YouTube, he swears by 1.5 mil of flavor to a 1 egg mix. Food for thought. This year I will be experimenting with less flavor in my mix. I'll let you know next year how that works out. But right now, let's do 10 mil. So these are little hypodermics at 3 mil. So 3 mil banana. 3 mil pineapple. Okay. And a lot of my later hook baits that I've done them with just straight banana. So I'm going to go a little more banana again. Okay. So DT baits, they make a ripe banana condensed flavor. Beautiful flavor. I'll put another 3 mil of that. That'll give me 9 mil. Okay, that's close enough to 10 mil. Now the other 2 flavors I'm using are CC Moore flavors. Ultra banana, pineapple essence, good stuff. Now if you haven't got that, Bulk Barn has Loran's flavors for cooking. They call it a bakery emulsion. Well, it's still banana and it's still a flavor. So I've been known to use that. Your good old Clubhouse, banana flavor. You could use that also. So it doesn't necessarily have to be name brands. Here's something else I found in the grocery store. Cool Running. You can buy it in pineapple, you can buy it in banana. It's a flavor enhancer. It's all good. So okay, 1 egg, 9 mil of flavor. It's good to go. A little quick mix with the fork. It doesn't have to be mixed to a froth. There you go, your egg is mixed. And you got to remember that eggs are a natural emulsifier themselves. So that should work out good. Now on the instructions it says per 1 egg mix you can use 80 to 90 grams of the mix. It does work out pretty close to that, but I've done the 90 grams and my sausages come out pretty dry and they break up quick. It's not as flexible. I didn't like it. 80 mil is more like it, but regardless, I'll show you when I start mixing it. When it starts letting go from the bowl and it starts getting a little bit of a drier feel, not as sticky, it's good to go. Regardless of how much you add. So everybody will come up with their own techniques on when they feel it's ready. Now practice makes perfect. Now I've made the mistakes already. So again, it's going to leave room for experimentation. Let's just start this way. Regardless on how much it says, start putting it in, start mixing it. What a beautiful color. What's not to like when it comes to fluorescent colors? Now here you go. Very soupy, very sticky. That's fine. Let's try another scoop. So you'll notice now it's starting to clump up. That's what I'm looking for. Now it's starting to clump up, but it's still sticking to the bowl. So again, not quite enough. A little more. It's clumping up even more. But now you'll notice that it's starting to come away from the bowl. So now that that's mixed, it's still sticking a little bit. So from here on in, I'm only going to be adding a little bit at a time. Because if I put too much, like I said, it comes out too dry, it breaks up on me, and I don't quite get the roll I'm looking for. So little bit at a time from here on in. And like I said, when it stops sticking to the bowl, you know it's good to go. So I'm there. I'm there. Okay, it might still a little more. Just a little more. Again, that's all going to come with experience. Practice makes perfect. If you want it that bad, you'll figure it out. Now, okay, the color's coming off on my hands, but it's not really sticky anymore. And I'll tell you right now, you're a lot better with a softer mix than you are with a hard mix. Because a hard mix, you're not going to get it through your sausage gun. And it'll be too dry. Now a softer mix, it rolls just fine. We're going to put it in the sausage gun. I'll wash my hands. I'll be right back. Okay, so sticker in the sausage gun. Okay.
Reg got himself a new gun as well.
Yeah, new gun. Burnt out my gun from last year. From Amazon. They're caulking guns. There's 50 different versions. What I noticed this year though, this is an 18:1 gear ratio with the handle. And I noticed it makes a difference from the one I had last year. So that's an improvement. Now, someday I might have a battery operated one, but for now we're still going manual. So this is a 10 mil tip going onto a 16 mil rolling table, and that's going to give me a beautiful wafter. I like to put a little bit of the powder on my table. Since it's a loose mix, Might be a little bit sticky, but it's like making pasta. Put a little bit of flour on the table, everything stays dry. First batch, first roll. Now right away, you might think, rolling table. So I'm gonna go like this and like this and like this and like this and make a nice, well, that works fine for a round boilie. But for making wafters, if you do that, you're gonna ruin your wafter. It's just a matter of one sweep. Because if you go back and forth, the wafter will go from the width, and then it'll turn the other way, and then it'll roll all kinds of different shapes, and you're not going to get a wafter. But if you just do one sweep, you'll get a beautiful wafter. Okay, down on it, onto the table. What's wrong with those? Nothing. They're beautiful. Next, you see how it breaks up if it's a little dry? Again, one sweep, dumbbell. Yeah, I'll take that wafter back. This ain't a wafter. This is just the bottom hook bait. If you want to make it into a wafter, you got to add a little bit of pop-up mix. One sweep. Now you might think, one egg mix, it's not very much. Well, by the time I'm done with the 1/8 mix, I've got over 50 I've got over 50 dumbbells. Okay, that's it for the 1 egg mix. Now there's still a bit left in the nozzle. I still got this left over from what didn't roll properly on both ends of the sausage. There you go. Thing of beauty. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to pop this back in here. And I'm going to try to squeeze out a little more. Okay. Got another 4. And then what I'm going to do here with the nozzle is you're going to squeeze out another sausage just by pushing it out from the back. That'll give me another half a dozen, and I still got some more in here. There you go, got another dozen out of it just from what I got out of the nozzle. One sweep. Here we go. Not too much wasted. Now you don't have to make dumbbells. You can make them round. You can make them any size you want. Now that all that's left is boiling them. Now you've seen me boil boilies before. Now boilies this size, the bottom baits, 90 seconds at the most. A minute can probably do it. But the rule is boil them until they float. Now what my mentor John Baker tells me, The more you boil them, the more you're leaching the flavor out of them. Well, of course, we want to try to keep as much flavor in there as we could. So what I do is usually, once half of them have come up to boil, they're pretty well cooked. Another Boilermaker that I've been mentored by is a guy, he calls himself Bespoke Baits. And this guy here tells me that even if they don't float, they're cooked. Because he was saying it takes 90 degrees, I think, for 30 seconds to cook an egg. Well, that's what you're cooking inside there, is the egg, to make it hard. So, do you really have to overdo it? No, you don't. Boil it to the minimum to get your hardened bait. Dry it for 24 hours. Freeze them. Do what you want. You see, something I forgot to touch on here is that with the 1 egg mix, they could spoil on you because it has an egg in it. Now, I bought some preservative. It's called something glycol liquid bait preservative. Again, made by C.C. Moore. And they say to use 20% per liquid that you're using. And it's something glycol. But that's the thing. So you'll notice in this batch I didn't put any in. If you want your baits to preserve and last a long time without being frozen, yeah, you will put some glycol in there. And now your eggs are preserved. But the first batches I made last year, we started using them. We never put them back in the fridge or the freezer. And my young friend Gerald tells me they lasted him over a month and they still smelled just fine. So, food for thought. You could put preservatives in them. If you don't want to, well, if your smeller is good, keep using them until they smell like they're going bad. And I bet you they'll still catch fish. So that being said, do we really have to boil them?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
At least not for the camera.
Not for the camera. Like I said, we all know how to boil baits. Like I said, being a small bait like that, 90 seconds at the most, 1 minute if you can get away with it. If half of them start coming up floating, you're good to go. Good to go. Take them out, dry them off, put them on a drying rack, 24 hours. If you didn't put any preservatives in them, stick the majority of them in the freezer. Take them out a dozen at a time as you're using them. I guess that's all I can tell you. So again, it's a pleasure to be back with you guys this year, 2025. I've got some good plans for this winter. I'm hoping to make it a productive winter. Looks like this winter is going to be colder than the previous winter. Might not get out fishing as often in the winter, but this is what I do in the winter. This is what I call fishing in the basement. This is where ideas are spawned, experiments are made, and preparations are made for the next season. Thanks a lot for joining me. Until next time, tight line.
End result 83 dumbbells.
Big monster one.
Yep.
Big the monster card's gonna go on mine.